Himanshi, and I am from Wired Hub, and it's based out of Rajasthan. So we are in Jaipur, and we recently expanded to Jodhpur. So I think if I say something that Wired Hub is best at, I think it's hiring people, because anyone who's come to Wired Hub till now has not gone back, so they're still working. And we're really good at creating synergies, and we look forward to creating more of that.
Hi all, I'm Monika, founder with iKeva, headquartered out of Hyderabad, currently present in Bangalore and Chennai as well. Provide co-working spaces, and of course community goes along with co-working. In terms of what we best at, iKeva has a great synergy of coexistence of freelancers, SMEs and large corporates. So an excellent productive space for all people alike, and a great place where these people come together, have fun together and share the insights. So it's a very varied form for a platform for networking basically.
Fantastic. So I want to talk a little bit about ecosystem hacking. Co-working spaces in and of themselves are a hack of the ecosystem, right? We talk about how the concept of work is completely changing. I think you were actually talking about this, which is fantastic. So I want to know from you guys how you feel that your particular space or your view actually hacked the entrepreneurial ecosystem wherever you are, in your case, in cyberspace. And maybe what the flavor of sort of hacking that particularly for women was. So if there was any, contribution that you feel like your space is making to the ecosystem for women, I would love to know that.
See, I am a mother of 7 years old, right? So I do meet people, I do meet mothers who have this issue where I can't get my child to office. So point number one, I tell them, oh, you're a mother, I'm also a mother, get your child to office. You can work from here. We provide that kind of a kids-friendly environment. So that is an added advantage that we try to create at our workspace. And also, when I joined co-working, I met this lady who came to Delhi from Chennai. She got married to a Punjabi guy here in Delhi, and she wanted to work from a co-workspace. And on day one, she came to our space with her mother-in-law, and she was not sure about the concept of a co-workspace. She surveyed the whole area. She was like, "Oh, you guys have a good gender ratio," and that's how we started working from our space. These are small pointers, we try to make people comfortable. They should get this feel that yes, women are safe there working from our space.
So I think, I don't know, so maybe we can just invite some conversation now around some of these answers. I think what I heard Amneet saying is that the ability to be seamless from your work life to your home life, including family members that may need to stay with you in the case of small children for a mom, is one hack to the entrepreneurial ecosystem, whereas typically if it was sort of male dominated, you might not see a toddler hanging out with a mother in the workspace, but with the advent of sort of women looking for flexible work options, that's something that's happening on your end. Fantastic.
So just one question, if I can just put in here. So do you have like a crutch within your co-working space, or is more a behavioral science that you align?
For other co-workers also, it's fun when they see a child is calm and
Sure.
Somebody's using crayons and doing some stuff, drawing, painting. So it's a good change for other co-workers also.
Yeah, just that I took my 6-year-old once to my office and he threw my laptop from the desk thinking that it's gonna bounce back, right? So I mean, I'm just how do you?
Thank God he threw your laptop and not your co-worker's laptop.
Well, I would be happy if you would have done my boss's laptop, but yeah. All right, so I get the point.
We've been trying a bit of this too, like at some of our hubs, we had these family days where we invited the entire families, the children, we had magic show and stuff for the kids. So we do these kind of events which are not just maybe startup and external community centric, but maybe also involve our members in various aspects about it. We're also doing like baby rooms, like in some of our hubs, in some event is coming up, to encourage. We have had fathers bring in their daughters, and giving their wives a break. So we want to encourage that as well.
Who needs that?
We've had a lot of fathers in that office.
No, I said who needs that?
Everybody needs that actually. So in a more democratic work environment, it's really important to have this. SHEROES has a campaign going on called Moms Without Babysitters that features very successful women that have their kids in the office and fathers too. So this is part of the future of work. We'll talk about the future of work, and it's actually very important, and it could be something that maybe you guys feature on your platform.
Sometimes it's not working in Barcelona space trying to do this because of free space, and one big idea was for all the kids, and any man can, anyone. So moms prefer, to leave the baby with the babysitter. I don't know why. So they try it hard, but one day they are find out and they partner up with the babysitter. Okay, and then all mothers prefer to leave the babies at the school next to the workplace.
So we don't own a physical space, but we are trying on our level to do this. Till now we could not do very big because it's been 3 months since we've been here in the working scenario. But yes, on a Women's Day, we try to run a campaign for the women who are working from home or who work, stay-at-home moms who are trying to enter into entrepreneurial world. We try to get them and make them see the co-working spaces so that they can come out, explore the spaces, and we give them huge discounts as well to make them comfortable, because once you enter a co-working, that's the general ratio you were talking about. When we enter into any co-working spaces, we see it filled like a sea of men, and probably 2 or 3 entrepreneurs are working there or maybe a part of the team, but not many would partake or are as a woman entrepreneur. So that's why we're trying to bring especially this clan, moms at work, who are trying to do something from home, because it's a huge number of women who are trying to make business out of home. Their only problem is they're not able to scale up, they're not able to find right kind of partners who can do their job, they're not able to employ people because they don't know from where to employ. All these kind of problems can be solved if they just come and work out of the home. Probably get good funding as well.
So since you talked about funding, my case, I found my founder investor mentor in a networking session that was hosted with Thai. I had gone there with the pure essence of networking when I was in a pure corporate job. And when the whole ideation of iKeva started and the work started, he was the one who mentored and who came on board with me, and we founded iKeva. And with the way the society is, not a lot of women get the opportunity to network, and when you are with peers whom you have gotten habituated to network with, you have all these wonderful co-workers that you're constantly meeting, networking, learning new things, plus with the internal and external community events that co-working spaces host. It just gets people and women trained to go there with so much more confidence and just back the hell out of the
connecting to people outside of specifically something that could be for your business. It could be for anything.
Anything. In fact, what SHEROES does a lot in terms of supporting people, women to come back to work or giving them the confidence that there is something there. It's ultimately the support system that helps you get out there and get what you need to. So,
agreed. Do you think that support system, just a question for everyone, is that support system more important for women than it is for men?
Absolutely. Yes.
Why?
Because since ages, men, when you say an entrepreneur, you think of a man first. When you say woman entrepreneur, then you think that this person is a woman. Actually, woman entrepreneur is not a term. It's entrepreneur is just a term. It's a unisex term. But for a woman, you use it like a special group kind of a system. You say she's a woman entrepreneur, which is actually not a term.
Yes. How are you hacking your ecosystem?
Right. So basically what we generally target is, since Jaipur have a lot of married women who are working, they're freelancers, they have their own business which they're running. So what we actually motivate them is to do is to not work from home most of the time. Since when they are working from home in Jaipur, they're always surrounded by household chores. I mean, they have their children, they have their husbands to look after, mother-in-laws. So we really want to promote the environment where they come out of their home, use our co-working and work from there. So this is what we are doing, and we create a lot of events, networking events for this as well. We have events which are solely concentrated on women, so that more and more women can actually get along with this concept of co-working. Since forget women, even men are not very well known with the concept of co-working in a city like Jaipur. So of course, I mean, we host a lot of events, and this is what we actually generally do. We really want women to come out of their home, concentrate on their work as much as their men do, and use a co-working for that. And we make sure that our co-working is, it's made like that, so it's very women friendly. I mean, it's safe and it's very comfortable for them to work.
So I think one of the lessons that I'm hearing is that isolation is a big problem with women who are doing things on their own, or women at work in general. And so co-working spaces help combat isolation by making it comfortable for somebody to come into a space and meet people.
The isolation also is a barrier that women need to get over, especially if you have a family to run. So if you're working from home, sometimes your children may not understand the difference between now is when my mom is working and now when my mom is available. And when you're actually stepping into a co-working space and you're doing that physical distinction. I'm not a mother, but this is what a lot of my friends who have kids have told me, that it helps that you do. I mean, even if you're a freelancer, if you an ideator, you're creating your own business idea. When you step out of work, that's when they understand. So this is mom's work time.
We have I'll tell you guys a funny anecdote. So we have, SHEROES is a really kid-friendly office. As you can probably imagine, we have practiced what we preach. So every day somebody's kid is in our office, and one of our staff member, Adhi's son, his name is Adi, and when he comes in, he refers to our CEO as Mummy's teacher. So he's so used to seeing Mom in that space and knowing what she does. She also works from home a lot, but it's interesting to see the way kids also imbibe that new role or avatar of their mothers as working women versus mommy that takes care of me as at home. So I think this is a hack actually, right? So this is a hack maybe on the other end. One of the questions I want to ask you guys is, so, I think that this conversation about women gets pinkified a lot. Like, oh, how are you putting lemongrass oil in your loos to cater to women? Let's talk about money. So the buck stops, and it's really important to see how your spaces can impact a bottom line. I'd love to hear a story from you about a female entrepreneur, business owner, a woman that's used your space that you've seen make a deal, and that deal was made because of your space. And if you could just share that story, that'd be great.
I'll give you a case study of how a woman used a space. So we have, since we're reasonably close to certain universities in Hyderabad, we have a lot of research students who are women who come and study there. And one impact that she said, and that's not of course literally translated into money, but one impact that she said was my research was a lot faster and more productive, that I sat out of this co-working space and got that done. The other impact that I have heard of is that there are a lot of image consultants who are women who meet with people and who train both, of course, adults and kids. And a use of the co-working environment, the meeting rooms, the event space, and that's feedback from them, that's given them a definite difference in terms of what they could project as an image consultant and get money accordingly.
So it's a professionalization of something that maybe typically would happen in a coffee shop. It takes that personal person's image to the next level to say, she's serious. Fantastic.
So probably I do not have any one individual story of where a woman made a deal, but I mean in general there are a lot of women, as I told, who used to work from their home and were not very comfortable, since Jaipur is still very traditional and orthodox when it comes to culture. I mean, people still are not there very open in letting anybody come and meet them. Like, we have people who have boutiques in their house only. But even that is a problem, since when a lot of people come, everybody, I mean, there are women or probably their mother-in-law who says that why is everybody coming at 7 or 8 or 9, close your shop at 6. So, such things are happening. So when they moved to a co-working space, it was more structured. Since their husbands, I mean, it was too shocking for me. But when a woman comes to a co-working who's married, they never come and just rent out a place for a desk. It's always with their husband or father. Since they want to take a proper check of the co-working space, since they want to make sure who are the other co-workers and everything, the area, travel, how is she particularly going to commute and everything. So I mean, somehow getting out of their home and them working in the co-working is a deal for them. Also because they synergize a lot. I mean, there are women who want to learn English, who want to be fluent in English, and there are people who, lend them a hand. They're like, why not? So once we are done with your work, we can give you a lesson on that. So I mean, that is something they could not do otherwise. They could not say to their husband, you want to go for an English tuition class or something. But since they are at the co-working from 9 to 7, there are a lot of things that they indulge in, synergize with other people.
But just to add to that, shouldn't we be also looking at it in this manner that, say you're saying Jaipur, a lot of, the background itself is where it's a conservative background. So they've never been allowed to be out. So maybe they're getting to explore places. This is a support that they are extending, the male counterpart is extending support rather than looking at it as why do they have to visit, why can't girls themselves choose it. Maybe it's a support, and from there on they can build. Maybe the next generation of women will be learning from just another perspective. Yeah.
So I would like to share one story. My dad is very, very possessive, right? And he's like, you should be talking to me. Sure. So I'm talking here about my dad. He's very, very possessive, and most of the time he's like, you shouldn't be talking to guys. And also a few days back, he came to our Nehru Place property, and I was so worried. I didn't and etc. things that the way that's thing. And after that, he checked out the space. He went back home and started doing my homework. I asked my mom, he didn't like the office. I'm like, no, he didn't say anything. And I asked my brother, kuch bola? He liked the space. He just said that she was wearing a nice suit. So from there, because he did not say anything, I concluded that yes, he liked the space, he observed the gender ratio, and he was very happy that yes, my daughter is safe at the co-work space. So this is what we try, that all the women they should have the safety thing in our space.
Amneet, have you ever seen a woman make a deal in your space that probably was facilitated just by being only for the reason of being there?
I think women, yes, we do have this added advantage that we are better at closing deals.
I think a year and a half into Sprout Box, I think the maximum deals that have been made in our space within the co-workers has been with women. So we have a PR team working there which have built HR processes, or have used the HR people for processes and used their customers, etc. And in fact, for women, we actually had to devise a new plan. Fortunately, we are located at the place where we have a few creches, as we also have a few kindergartens. So we had some requests, as you said, image consultants and people like this, who would drop their kids in the morning at 8 and would have to pick them up by 12. Now what do they do? So when you say 9 to 9, half days this, so what is the half day plan? So there was 2 months of iteration, and we found that every day there was a request like this. So we actually devised that we have a pass system. You take 60 passes which are valid for 1 year, which is an average of 5 days in a month. You come for half days, you will become 120. So we actually formulated it, and we found that was pretty effective. There were ladies who are coming in now at 7:30 in the morning. All that we have to do is get the housekeeping guy a little earlier to clean certain areas. But they're quite effective because they need to pick up their kid, and that's the end of their working time. They've got that working time when the kid is not around at that age. And they're free for the rest of the day. So, that was a whole iteration of model which catered to that class of people who needed it.
Fantastic. Where is Sproutbox located? In
Gurgaon.
In Gurgaon, that's what I thought. So this leads us into a different type of question, probably a question that you anticipated, is how have you all innovated within your own model to encourage and accommodate women to use your space or to be present? I'd love to hear about that.
So one thing that iKeva does as a part of building the community is we understand and realize that a lot of community associations outside that are creating great difference, and to pick and choose what works for the members with us. Inclusive and coordinated events.
say for example, say with the SHEROES or the ISB Women Entrepreneurship Cell, get them in, give that as a ready access to the members who are there in iKeva so that the women get more encouraged by the stories that are around. So that's one. The second thing is, and that's not in a more formal level, but at a personal level, if I have come across a team member or a lady who's been there trying to figure out something and she needs some tips, I sit there, do that if I'm in the city. But that's not a formal thing. I don't call myself mentor per se, but if somebody reaches out, I'm there. And in fact, in iKeva itself, I think about 60% are women employees. So they are also encouraged to go figure out, find out what is it that somebody needs to give that.
So what I hear you say, one is, just to summarize, intentional curation of opportunities and other things that women can do beyond your space. And the second thing is an extra mile of support, maybe reaching out a little bit more intentionally just to make sure that everything is okay with the women that are in.
I just want to, probably take a step back from where you all started. Right? I think this is a group of women running co-working spaces, right? And I think in the last discussion we kind of concluded that the cultural issue and the resources of India is that women feel too safe and secure going out and working in working spaces, right? Uber didn't have a SOS panic, tap on that before they came to it. So are you guys also thinking of making your co-working spaces secure, safe for women, having IP cameras cost $500 per park, you can get access auto which cost $300 a piece. Is there something that you've done particularly to address those issues of women which initially holds them back to move out of their office, home, because being in India, right? Is there anything that has helped you?
I would say one thing here, where security is concerned, when you talk about access and cameras into CCTV as such, I think it's irrespective of, specifically for women or not. I mean, it translates into security for all.
No, I meant it would give a peace of mind to somebody's father or husband.
And I mean, it should be there irrespective of. It shouldn't be because you have women employees. I mean, it should be irrespective of that. That needs to be in place there. What's more important is, I think, to make them comfortable with the fact that there is someone they can approach. Like, personally, what we ensure at Springboard is that going forward now that our teams have, like our teams, if there's an equal number of men and women, at least. There's a time the entire hub was run just by women. With three women team there also. So just if there is a co-worker who is uncomfortable, they know they can walk up the hub team and maybe speak to them and say, hey, I'm uncomfortable with so and so. And obviously where security is concerned, I think there just needs to be irrespective of whether you have women co-workers or not. That shouldn't compromise.
I don't have a space of my own, but when I study and when I research online, when I see how other co-workers are operating all around the globe, there are a few suggestions that I can make to the teams who are actually running the co-working centers around India. The one is to have a comfortable seating around. There are many co-working hubs around the world. They have special areas and special seating arrangement for, say, women who are pregnant. Then they have separate lactation rooms. They don't have to sit in the washrooms to do that. Then there are definitely security concerns in India where you have special tie-up with the cabs. And if your co-working is open 24/7, then you have a special arrangement for them, which is much needed. Then there are credit system can be involved with the co-working. Then for the young women who are trying to come out, a special counseling or a board is there within the board is missing because there is no central body who is acting a part of the rest. Because everybody is not an employee over there, so nobody is taking care of their women particularly. Suppose there is a concern and they're shying away from a, because most of the co-working in India are run by men. So who do they go to? There has to be a central body to address these kind of issues. I think if these things are there, then a woman would feel more connected to the space and would love to work. Especially, I would really appreciate if some concerns like that be addressed by a co-worker.
Himanshi, how are you?
So I mean, apart from safety, since as she mentioned, not only but for all, so we've taken care of safety. I will not speak about that. Apart from that, yeah, we've made the time very flexible. Since as sir also told about women coming at 7:30 in the morning, so that is one thing we are really flexible about. So we open at 6 a.m. in the morning since we have a 24-hour housekeeping present. So it's very comfortable. Anytime they want to drop in, they can. Anytime they want to leave, they can. Another issue that they generally have, apart from taking care of their household, since Jaipur celebrates a lot of festivals, it's like 3 in a week, and they actually want to sit back at home and celebrate that. They a lot of times ask me, how justified is it for me to like pay you a month fee just for 7 days I come. So again, we do not have the pass system as you know. That's very innovative. I can think of it now. But then, so we count on the days. Like days you come, you pay for the like as soon as you finish 30 days, you can probably pay me for money. So this is what we do. Apart from that, of course, since I am there at the co-working all the time, and I have built a rapport with every of my co-workers. So since any problem which arrives, they can always approach me, and that's the rapport, that's the comfort they are in. So I'm sure if there's anything that they have a problem with, they will not be suffering and they will definitely fix.
How are you changing this from your space, from Jaipur to Jaipur? What's different in Jaipur compared to what you're doing in Jaipur?
So there's a lot of difference when it comes to Jaipur itself. Since we right now only have around 4 to 5 female entrepreneurs working in the Jaipur center and around 15 to 16 male. In Jodhpur, unfortunately, we did not even have one woman entrepreneur coming. But we're still exploring options. We're still having a lot of events where we want the women entrepreneurs to come outside of their home and probably work. So I really cannot compare as of now because since there's nobody in Jodhpur as a female entrepreneur.
Amneet, what about you?
Well, if I talk about my Nehru property, I think 60% are women, 40% are men, and I personally don't feel that I am different from a guy. We have that I feel equal with guys, right? And talking about the safety, yes, we have informed our guard that at 9 o'clock if somebody is taking a cab, please accompany that lady, drop her, make her sit in the cab, and then only you're supposed to come. And of course, we have CCTV cameras.
Beyond that, anything additional in membership programs, space?
Of course, there are mothers who drop their kids to schools in the morning, like 7:30, and then they request us to, like we can change the timings and this. And yes, we have, kept this thing open for them. Yeah, you guys want to start early, of course. So they are like, we don't want to go back home once we drop the kid to the school, so we want to come directly to the work. So of course, you guys can come and work.
Fantastic. So I'm not sure how much time we have. Vanessa, do we have a little bit more time? We have 10 minutes, great. So I'll ask one more question, then I'll open up the floor for you guys to interact with our experts. So at SHEROES we have a conversation about the future of work. That actually things are changing from having a 25, 30-year career in one company, getting a pension, retiring, to moving more towards like a gig economy where you are not your educational background, you're not, your qualifications, but you're set in a bucket of skills that you present to the world. And then you take up these multiple gigs and you can, start out as a cake baker and move into being an image consultant and then be a nuclear scientist and then go back to being a cake baker. And I'm wondering if within your spaces, especially talking to the women that are there, do you see what do you see in terms of the future of work? How are you seeing this come about? Yeah, are you seeing this come about at all? Are you only seeing more traditional work spheres and work lines, or are you seeing anything different happening in terms of the way women are working?
It's funny you asked this question today. In fact, last night, Shrikant, my colleague here, and I were sitting and brainstorming what would the next thing happen in workspace. And of course, from the women's perspective, but otherwise, so some things we're still talking about a lot of traditional work around technology. How do we bring in people who, you're maybe a carpenter, an artist, a plumber, or even the other side, the baker, come in and give people an idea about how do you do, or what what do you do, why you do, or how
It
do
was,
you do, why you do?
yeah, it was like, give them understanding as to it's not just the computer and technology that's existing, but there are jobs beyond that. What happens is, as you're working in these roles, in the computer related role, technology related role, you undermine the other roles, you consider them menial jobs,
So
which
it's
are
more
not.
the idea of exposing the co-workers to various opportunities that are there, have more like not a career day, but exposure to what they could do, so that they can pick and try and choose and do multiple things together.
So it's exploration
Yes.
versus sticking to one
Absolutely.
thing.
You may be interacting with a plumber or an electrician, but you never really think about it as to what could be their day job like, and then it helps you become more, have more empathy towards them also. You interact with someone back at home and you realize, hey, I just met one of these at my co-working space, and I think I should be a little more, considerate about the kind of work they're doing. So
And it's, I think, sort of to summarize, we can be in India very classist, right? So we tend to look down on certain types of work. So what I hear you saying is you're thinking about equalizing work. Work is work.
So
I didn't want to use that word, but then you just.
so that's one, and also that you also figure out where your passion lies. So it's you can get an artist. Somebody comes in, gives you an idea about how to do different kinds of sketches. I don't even know that. How do you take on photography? How do you go about designing? And we do no longer belong to an industry. We industry agnostic when we go through a career. So we pick up tasks and firms and companies that we like, we enjoy, and we take our career from there.
Fantastic. Ruchi, you're burning.
No, it's just a one-liner thing I wanted to say, that work is becoming more and more part of our life, and it's not becoming something like we have to do it. We have to get up in the morning and we have to do it irrespective of the fact that we like it or not. It's something like WeWork says, you are creating your life. You're creating your one more. What do I say? There's a specific word, but you're creating yourself when you're becoming a baker or choosing another profession. You're giving chance to your dreams and your passions to become something what you are, and it comes at a time. It gives you fulfillment at the end of the day. So I think that will be the future of work, where you are giving your passions a chance, irrespective of the fact that can I do it, can I not do it, will my parents judge me, will my fellow members judge me. So I think that's the future of work.
Beautifully said. And I've heard that stated as bringing our whole selves to the room, right? That we enter with all of our capabilities and all of our, wishes, dreams, and hopes every time we walk into a room. Whereas traditionally, within the space of an office context, you have, your compartment for work, and you have your compartment for home, and you have your compartment for personal life, and your compartment for fun.
Your entire life can go by.
Exactly, and that is this idea of looking at work in a holistic manner.
And we agree in that.
I love that, and I think might I dare to say that that's more important for women, because we can be very broad thinking, right? We're nest defenders biologically. We see everything. We see the horizon, and we're always looking out towards the future. When we have to compartmentalize aspects of ourselves, we don't function as well, because that's not how we're built. That's just not who we are, most of us.
Just
Not all.
exactly the same word, holistic workplaces. That's exactly what we were discussing yesterday. And
See, I was communicating with you telepathically last night, and I think that's a wonderful. How do you, Ruchi? How do you imbibe this in the work that you do? Talking about spaces, listing spaces, communicating with spaces.
Myself, I did MBA in finance and marketing long time back. I'm a mother. I'm a traveler. I am a serial entrepreneur myself. I've worked in banks. I've been a lecturer in an education institute. So me myself, I consider myself as a chameleon. I transform according to the situations that are presented on me. I would not have done that without the support of my family, obviously. But if this chance is given to all the women around me, I think they're pretty talented and that they can. I'm not saying women can do better job. If given, they just do it differently. They have certain soft skills that men are not born with. I will say that. And so I think in the future of the work, like WeWork is the biggest co-working, and we should all be knowing it. They ran a huge campaign, like founded by women, and they came across that women are not just limited to being a fashion bloggers or something to do in food industries. They can do wonders in tech industries as well. Media is another part. They are doing wonderfully well. So I think we should give women a chance in chance to women. There's another fact that I would state. This year, in 2016 till now, I think 670 startups got funded. Out of them, only 21 startups were run by women. That's a very sad number. So if we are not giving, we are talking about women entrepreneurs all the time, but actually how many people are actually giving them a chance? So I think we should be more concerned about it. Yeah. Otherwise India would be very far behind the rest of the world.
It's going to be a very dude brokery if we don't have this right now.
Yeah.
Himanshi, what is the future of work? What does that look like in Jaipur and Jaipur?
So this very interesting thing that we did in Jaipur actually. While we were building Wired Hub, we did not hire any interior, nor did we really put up paintings or anything. So we had 4 to 5 women artists who really wanted to do something, but they were not getting a platform. So probably they had their exhibitions and stalls at places, but they were still not very satisfied. So we gave them the room. We told them this is Wired Hub. This is what it is going to be after a week. You know, people are going to come here and they're going to work and stuff. And they were given the whole place for a week, and it was transformed. I mean, they did magic on the walls. I mean, they painted the walls. The whole startup ecosystem was on the wall. They researched, they Googled. It was so much appreciated that we had messages from Kunal Shah as well that the wall is beautifully doodled. And once they did that, I mean, they did not even take a penny from us. They're like, you gave us a platform. I mean, that's really amazing. And since then, they have at least got, like, I'm not even exaggerating, like 15 to 20 contracts on a whole, because people loved this whole concept of doodling. It was not very prevalent in Jaipur. People still like to put all traditional puppets and paintings in their room and did not want their walls to be Googled. So this is one thing that we did. We could probably have a very professional artist or a very professional architect come in, but we just gave them the room to experiment, like do whatever you want to with it, but just take care, it's going to be a co-working. So that is one thing that you have to take care of, and it was beautifully made. You should definitely check out pictures of Wired Hub sometime on Facebook and Google. Thank you. So apart from this, what we also do is, since there are a lot of women who come to us and they say we want to do something, we have a lot of free time, but we exactly don't know what to do. What do you suggest what we can do? So they still want to do something, they have time for it, but they haven't figured out what interests them, what their talent is. So what we do is we call a lot of industry experts who are definitely female entrepreneurs or female CEOs or female representatives, and they take workshops on various things. So taking a workshop for 1 or 2 hours and attending the workshop gives them the time to know if this particularly interests them or not. So we had a cab driver who was a woman cab driver come in and take a workshop. So people in Jaipur feel scared to travel in a cab, so it was pretty shocking for them to know that there's a woman who's driving the cab. So we had a large turnout. We had at least 60 to 70 women attend that workshop. Apart from that, we have various industry experts. We have a woman entrepreneur in Jaipur called Rachna Ghia, who runs a tech startup. She makes animated videos and more with that. So we had her workshop. So this is what we do. Since women need to see an example in front of them who have evolved from Jaipur, only then will they come to know that yeah, we can do that too. So we attend networking sessions. We host networking sessions. We host interactive sessions for women to understand there are a lot of career opportunities for them and they can go for it.
Fantastic. So I hear you say the future of work is give women ownership of the space. Make the space your own in whatever way. And
let them experiment.
And the second way is experiment by exposing yourself to different ideas and different people. And it's okay to not know. I think we penalize not knowing too much. Our culture does, and that's actually okay. Amneet, what about you? What is the future of work?
Well, the main advantage working from a co-work space is that because we work together and there are people out there who are observing your work, and sometimes you're totally unaware of your hidden skills. So when you're working together, you got to know from others that this is the hidden skill you are having and you need to polish it. like Leena, she's with me at Nehru Place, and like 2 months back I started noticing that her area of interest is writing. I asked her, this is what I feel. She's like, no, I don't think I can write. And then after I told her, yeah, I think you can do that, and I connected her to a team of writers, and now she started writing. Wow. And she was like, no, I don't think I can write. So because we work together, so there are people out there who are observing you. So that is how your hidden skills, they are noticed, and then you get an opportunity to polish them.
So
you never know where they take you.
So the future of work is encouragement and exposure and creating a space, letting people create their own space, and is democratizing work. Work is work no matter what. So I think these are fantastic learnings from you guys. Thank you so much. I hand it over to you guys. What questions do you have for our
So this is a question for everyone. So what is one thing we could do as a space owners to make spaces inclusive?
I mean, is that specifically asking as male founders or?
Yeah, male founders. What is, maybe each of you could do one as what we could do.
Women-based workshops for a start, that's the easiest thing that you can do, maybe once a month, so that you would need and as and when more entrepreneurs are coming in your space, you can actually, have a feedback form, what that particular set of females want. They may be young and creative, they might not need something like that, which you might unnecessarily spend your amount in. So you should do the kind of women course that you think with it. But yes, for a start, you can have the women mentors and have somebody as an advisor in your women group. I think many of us would be, I don't know about all of us, but I'm sure there will be women who will be ready to just come as an advisor on the board to make it more women-friendly if it's just men who is running business.
I'm a founder of a startup that started from a co-working space. I'm actually the predecessor to CoworkIn. And I operated out of that space for about a year before working from home, primarily because I was so busy I couldn't leave. For me, I'll give you some very concrete things that you can do based on what I hear hundreds of thousands of women ask us at SHEROES, and also my own experience. The first thing is, I think everything that's been echoed already by Ruchi, these are great points. The second thing is having co-founders that are women makes sense. We have to go to spaces where we see other people like us. If I walk into, and I'm going to use this term, you guys have heard me use this term, I'm going to use it again. If I walk into a space where it's all dude bros and it's that same tired entrepreneur culture of, fine, beers and like bro culture are fine, but that's not all entrepreneurship is about. I'm an entrepreneur and I'm a proud entrepreneur. I want to see people that are like me. And that could be not just other women, but people that share different types of stories as entrepreneurs that don't feel pressure to fit into this dude bro culture. It's really frustrating. I live in a metropolis of how many people live in Delhi? Like 15 million people. And more than that probably, like 100 gazillion thousand million people. It feels like on those days. What to me is a frustration is walking into space after space after space. That's one template of entrepreneurship. So I think you are the spaces that have the ability to completely, because you're agile, right? Yeah, you have your real estate play that's stuck. But within your programming, the people that you hire, your community ambassadors, you can really change all that. So that's something really concrete for me. The second thing is, from the women that we do career counseling with at SHEROES, there is a fear, and a lot of people have this fear, not just women. When you're isolated, to walk into a space that's unfamiliar is very scary. So your community manager should work double time to make sure that people have community anchors, that they know at least 5 other people in this space, so when they're walking in, they feel comfortable, they don't feel like they're unknown. There is a lot of, I think that India in general, you hear me sort of, my Americanness is coming out. I come from a culture that values small talk. I am trained to do small talk. I'm trained to talk to people that I don't know. in India, I meet people every day that for them that is a huge fear. So talking to a stranger is really scary. When you're coming into a space to work, that's really scary. So even when somebody gets to the space, that should be seamless. Introduce them to 5 people that informally serve as community ambassadors. That take it upon themselves to introduce them to other people, to introduce them to the teams, to help them become familiar in the space. I've seen that done in some global co-working spaces like the hubs. And I mean, maybe Sajid does this in Bangladesh. And I've found that sort of voluntary community manager piece to work really well. So your staff and the volunteer community managers working to make sure that any new person feels welcome. It's really sad when you're in an office, any type of work environment in India, and everybody's sharing tiffin, and you feel too shy to go and do that. Because we all know that is the one time and the one place that you form a really lasting connection with people around you. You break bread with people, right? So these are small hacks. This is a huge strategy. This is a strategy I follow. Beyond, I do startup weekends, I run women entrepreneurship events, I work at SHEROES, I have a love, sex, and dating counseling service. I talk to women and men all the time about these differences between us. I think it's really key that when you're talking about women who have traditionally been ostracized from spaces, they weren't allowed at the table, right? There's a reason why we're in a circle today. We're in a circle because I want everyone to feel equal. When you're talking about those people that have not felt comfortable stepping into spaces, it's for a reason. It's because when they did step into those spaces, they were ridiculed, they were belittled, they were told to leave, they were harmed, all of those things can happen. Create a safe space before your space. Go out into the community. Have one person whose sole job it is to interface with women's groups, to talk to groups of women that may never come into your space, but they should know about you. Opening your door and saying, we're here, is not enough. Going out into the community, to the safe spaces that women have already built, is important. And if you can do that effectively, you will completely change the game in the ecosystem.
According to you, there should be a proactive effort to change this situation, and not just be open, but outreach has to be there, and outbound, from us.
Outreach in a specific way. Women have already formed communities within your community. They've already created safe spaces.
Sure.
You, as a space that wants to welcome them, needs to be there saying, I'm coming to you. That ambassadorship will get you farther than anything you're doing right now.
Sure.
I will put 1 million rupees on you.
Sure. Up for grabs.
Up for grabs.
There are women-based co-working all about around the globe. And but the problem with the Indian scenario is women are trained to enter into a class where there will be more men than them, and they would be happily working. In fact, in an education institute or you go into offices, if the room is full of men, still you would sit there and do your work and come out. However, men would not be able to do that. If they see this is a women-based co-working, they would not enter there. They would not work. So that kind of model will not be successful in India. Women-based co-working can never run in India just because the women need all kind of, they need men and women both in their team. So it cannot be a women-only co-working in India as it is around the world.
But
I think the current co-working has to incorporate some kind of system among them to encourage women.
On the contrary, if I were to speak of iKeva, where I'm associated with, there are, I think, 50% of the staff is women, 60% of the iKeva staff is women. So you can be rest assured that any customer who's walking in or anybody looking for co-working space, he will at some point interact with women. And not just that, but
it's about the number of outnumbered. When a man gets outnumbered, or they're just 2 or 3 in a room full of women, their productivity definitely will decline.
okay.
I think.
Talking about what Avani said, actually, when it comes to making anybody in the room feel home, like they should not feel that, they should not feel that I know only 2 or 3 people out of them and I do not feel comfortable. So even if it's about just getting up and taking a coffee, they do not have to think twice about what the other people will think. So there's this activity that we do at Wired Hub which is called speed dating, and we do it every month. So there's a larger circle and there's a small circle, and everybody gets 5 minutes and they keep exchanging, like they keep moving. So this way everybody talks to everyone. So the next time anybody enters the room, like every month, they all are aware of each other. And this has really helped us to bond, you know, like everybody bonds with everyone so well that somehow, I don't know, it just happened that at 2 everybody has lunch and at 2:30 or 3 they're done with it. So, you know, it's just happened that bond is just created, and there's no feeling of separation or isolation because everyone knows everyone. So yeah, I think you're pretty much correct. I totally echo your words when you say that.
How frequently do you do this?
That's right, every month. Since we have new people coming in, so it's every month.
That's a great hack.
Yeah, another thing that works very well in my co-working space, we have a private Facebook group, and every new member that comes to space introduces himself or herself to the group. I'm Vanessa, I'm a working consultant, I'm looking for this kind of people or this kind of project, blah, blah, blah. And then in 5 minutes you're having a coffee with another member. This works very well. And also speed meeting, I have a lunch or a breakfast once a month. Yeah.
Fantastic.
So to break the ice, one thing that you do is every Friday is a fun half-hour break, and we keep changing the kind of games and engagement that we have. So almost everybody can participate in periodically, or depending on what you like, and that kind of allows them to meet in a more informal circle. You're not introducing your work. You first had a game, you had fun, somebody won, and then you're speaking to another person.
But again, I see, just to add on that, there's a lot of hesitation from them to join the group, to participate, despite making every possible effort to encourage them to participate. There's so much hesitation. In fact, that becomes a major challenge than hosting the event itself.
Sure. I mean, I think that one thing we should recognize is that if you have a tech-heavy space, universities, programs, accelerators, wherever people are coming from are already so segregated, gender segregated, that you might have people that haven't interacted with the other gender in a while. So I think what I hear everyone saying is that it takes a little bit of extra effort because we're working with a group of people that have traditionally not had access, and making things fun, informal, but also extending a reach outside of our own bubbles to invite them to our spaces is really important.
There's another activity which I would like to mention that we do at Wired Hub, which is connecting the dots. So this also happens every month, where what we do is we invite freelancers who are not even working at the co-working space. So students from eCell or maybe startups who are not at the co-working space but working in cafes or individual capacity. So we are connecting the dots where everybody comes in and they say what I have to offer and what I'm looking for. So this way there are a lot of people who do not have to go outside of the co-working space. They just have to say 2 lines that I'm looking for this and this is what I have to offer. And there are a lot of synergies that are connected. So since there are people outside co-working also participating in the activities, very, very useful.
And it's like a barter. I give you the skill, I'm looking for this. That's fantastic. That's great. Any final questions before we wrap up?
I think there have been some amazing things that have come out of this discussion, certainly.
So I make a recommendation. Most of you guys, I think you're both Facebook Living or recording this. Will you connect back? So I offer SHEROES platform to disseminate this information. So we have already decided that we're going to share this discussion because we want, we have about 7 lakh women on our platform. We're moving to 1 million. We want them to know about the power of co-working. We want them to know that these spaces exist in their community. So I will be taking a selfie with all of us before we leave, and we will be linking to these. So guys, just make sure you take my information so I can do that promotion. I want to sort of wrap up by saying that this conversation, there aren't a lot of people that join this discussion because there maybe are other pressing discussions, but each one of us that came takes away this knowledge and can hack in their own communities. This is something I think that deserves to be...
Sorry for interrupting you, but they have missed 50% of the economy. They have missed 50% of 50%.
Yeah,
Yeah,
larger
so they missed out
Also
50%.
That probably, just the way that you gone or started in Jaipur, you were based there,
Right.
etc. Well, having gone through this journey, this thing, and having been associated with various businesses all over the country, etc. Also in tier 2, 3 or 3 class cities, I think there's a huge area where people or women in specific need to be drawn from that society. Now, if you go to Jodhpur, I can understand your challenge.
Tier 2 cities, in fact, rural areas have more women entrepreneurs.
Yeah, so there's been a migration from lots of these cities into the Bangalores and the Hyderabad and the Gurgaons of the world in the last 20 years. And there is also now a feeling of give back to specific.
So then, shouldn't we also be considered that first of all, the idea of co-working is is still not at its most mature state. I would say it's still maturing, and add to that tier 2 city, add to that women. I think we are talking about multiple layers of challenge. Each we have to peel out the layers one by one at a time.
I'm going to give you a larger sorry guys, because I'm pretty old and have done a lot of things within the women's entrepreneurship space. We use certain terms that exclude women from the conversation. When you say, do you own a business? 100 women out of a room full of 200 are going to raise their hand. If you say, who's an entrepreneur? Maybe 20 of them are going to raise their hand. If you want to reach people, use the language they know. And it's not such a challenge if you A, go to the spaces where they are, B, use the language that they know, and C, are accessible by showing them people that look like them.
Just, well, we need to explain something.
Okay, great. So I'll just, can I just wrap? I'll just do one final,
Closing comments.
Closing comment. So what I was saying is that each one of us that's present here have the ability to take these tips that we've heard, these things that these women are doing already, and take them back to our own communities and disseminate them. I offer that as a challenge to you in whatever way to share and to help this movement grow. It benefits all of us to get more women in co-working spaces, but more so than that, we just want women to be visible because they're already doing epic shit. Why should we not recognize them? And with that, you can make your announcements and